right, everybody, it is time for us to do another Music Compass. It's been a little while since we did one of those, and this time we'll be taking a deep dive into the world of band logos. One of the interesting things about band logos is that there's like no relationship between whether a band has a good logo and whether their music is actually good. These things are like completely separate from each other, and I can't even count the number of times when I was a kid. Because I'm old, I grew up in the time before you could listen to music before you bought it. Like when I was a kid, you would go to the record store and you would find a CD or an album and you would look at it and maybe you had heard of them, maybe you hadn't, but mostly you just had to judge it based on the cover art and the logo. And you'd be like, okay, based on the logo, I think this is going to be cool. And that's how I ended up buying shit from like Christian Death and Dio that I expected to sound like Sepultura, and most definitely did not sound like Sepultura. So today we're going to look at some band logos, and we're going to look at them on two different dimensions here to kind of reflect this. So here is how we're going to do it. We're going to rank them on whether they have a good logo or a bad logo, and then we will also rank them on whether they have good music or bad music. And also, I'd like to thank Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. If you aren't familiar, Magic Spoon is cereal reinvented. It's the same taste that you remember, but upgraded with grown-up ingredients. And best of all, at least for me, because I care a lot about nutrition, it is way, way healthier. There's 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs in every serving, and 140 calories per serving. And let me tell you, it is so good, like for real. Honestly, I'm not saying it because they sponsored this video, like the peanut butter flavor is insanely delicious. And the variety pack comes in 4 flavors. It has my favorite peanut butter, as well as fruity, frosted, and cocoa, and they are all great. So if you want to check it out, click the link below to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use the promo code FINN, F-I-N-N, at checkout to get $5 off any order. Or go to magicspoon.com/Finn. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. If you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So click the link below or scan the QR code on the screen and use the code FINN, F-I-N-N, for $5 off, or go to magicspoon.com/Finn to save $5 today. Let's first look at one of the greatest band logos of all time, Dead Kennedy's logo. One of the best logos of all time, in my opinion, like almost up there with, you know, Rolling Stones and Ramones and stuff like that. Clearly, we could all agree that it's a good logo. An interesting thing about a lot of the like 80s punk bands, like Dead Kennedys, Misfits, Black Flag, DRI, a lot of them had really good logos that you could like scratch into a desk at school or draw on the cover of your math book, like with a Sharpie. And I feel like that was like kind of an important part of like what made those bands so popular, you know? Yeah, banger logo. It looks like a cult or faction. It does. It looks like a Nazi rune. I feel like if they made like another Fallout game, Bethesda, if you're watching, you need a faction in the next Fallout game called the Dead Kennedys, and this is their logo. Couldn't you see that? I could see that. Now, great logo, one of the best logos of all time. I remember when I was a kid, I thought it was really cool, like how it looks like it's beveled like that. When I learned how to like draw that with the shading, I was like, oh my God, it looks like it's made out of 3D. Wow. And that was the beginning of my career as a graphic designer. Just kidding. But clearly a great logo. The question that's a little bit harder to answer is whether the Dead Kennedys music is good or not. It's tough. I feel like it's a mixed bag because on the one hand, they have some like really great songs. For example, I'll play one for you here. Some pretty great songs. I think this is pretty cool. Who's that kid in the back of the room? Who's that kid in the back of the room? Setting all his things on fire. The problem is the vocals. And the Dead Kennedys lyrics are really great. The artwork is great. I just feel like everything about Dead Kennedys is great, except for like the vocals are so bad that it really does hold it back, in my personal opinion. I can't say that they're bad though. He's just talking. Yeah, exactly. That's what my wife said. She's like, do all the songs sound like this? He just sounds like he's talking. I'm going to put them squarely in the middle. I know that's kind of a fence sitter answer. I'm going to say it's one of the best logos of all time, but the music is really just kind of like, I don't know. It's a really tough one, so I'm going to be a fencer. I'm just going to put it squarely in the middle. That's what I think. Squarely in the middle. Next, how about your boys in Slipknot? We'll look at this version of their logo, which has the logo type itself and also the tribal S. A bad logo? Well, you know how lots of times I like to joke about, you know, the type of girl that would have a Slipknot tattoo. And in this case, let's talk about the type of guy that I would have a Slipknot tattoo. Yeah, it looks like a bad tattoo. It looks like a very, very bad tattoo. Looks like a very bad tattoo. The type of guy who would have this tattoo is basically the type of guy who ended up being in Slipknot. The type of guy who ended up being in Slipknot, meaning a white trash dude from Iowa, you know, has some dead-end job, but he insists that his band is going to make it big someday. And then he listened to his band, and it's 9 guys in jumpsuits and clown masks beating on trash cans on stage and screaming with a DJ. And you're like, oh my God, holy shit. What the fuck is Joey's band? What the fuck is this shit? He thinks he's going to get famous with this shit. That's the type of guy that ends up having a Slipknot tattoo, is that exact type of guy. Only the difference is the guys in Slipknot were right. They actually did get rich and famous, so we can at least forgive them. But the logo is not good. I mean, it works for them, I guess, but it's bad. It's bad. It looks so 90s. How that description actually became a metal phenomenon is beyond me, but here we are. I know, like, how insane is it that Slipknot actually became a successful band? Like, the 9 guys in jumpsuits with clown masks beating on trash cans somehow became, like, a platinum selling band. How? The goated tramp stamp? I feel like if I was to see a girl with the Slipknot S tattoo, on the one hand, you know she fucks, so that's a positive. On the other hand, the question is, do you want to smash? I feel like the type of girl that has a Slipknot tattoo probably doesn't smell great, probably has like a pet ferret. Girls like that, they always have a ferret, a snake, or a spider as a pet. Maybe if they're super weird, like a possum. Right? So I feel like, yes, obviously she fucks, but do you want to smash the girl with a Slipknot tattoo and a ferret? I would say probably not. I'll pass on that one, I think. Obviously, Slipknot's music is fantastic, so we know where they go. Great music, one of the best metal bands of all time. Logo, not so great. That's what I'm saying. And if the girl with a Slipknot tattoo is out there, listen, I'm sorry. I want to know, is the girl with the Slipknot tattoo out there? And can you confirm that you have a pet spider or ferret? You got a tarantula in a cage next to your bed, and let him out and crawl on your fucking... How about a newer band with one of my favorite logos of all time? Do we all agree this band is awesome? Who else loves this band? If you somehow don't recognize this logo immediately, it is a band called Sanguisugabogg. If you haven't heard them, I think they're pretty great. I think this was my most streamed band of 2023. Let's listen to them if you haven't heard them. I think this band, I think they're great. One of my favorite logos actually ever. Obviously the logo is like, and the name is silly, just trying to take the, you know, unreadable like pile of sticks logo to the absolute extreme. I'm going to make a forbidden joke here, but I said the pile of sticks logo. It reminded me of on bodybuilding.com like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the F slur was banned. So people would want to call each other the F slur, but they couldn't. And so they would start calling each other bundle of sticks, which is the actual meaning of the F slur. So they would be like, OP is a bundle of sticks, because he says blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I think Sanguisugabogg is awesome. I love them. I think this logo is also awesome and great. So I'm putting it up there on the upper right. That's what I think. I love them. How about Sabaton, huh? Everybody's favorite war metal band. Sabaton, in case you're not familiar, this is their logo, right? This looks like a PC game from like 1993. There'd be like some sort of a Heroes of Might and Magic type game, doesn't it? Sabaton. And if you're not familiar with the band, probably one of the worst bands, the corniest, worst bands I've ever heard. They have a song and a video that's a brand deal with World of Tanks, the free-to-play PC game. They have an actual song that's a brand deal with World of Tanks. How amazing is that? The logo looks racist? It does. It looks racist. Sabaton is for guys who wish they had a girlfriend to play Risk with. Not to be a pedantic genre guy, but definitely not even close to a war metal band whatsoever. Oh, how dare you call Sabaton a war metal band? Sabaton is not a war metal band. They're just a metal band that sings about war. That's totally different, Mom. War metal is like bestial warlust. That's totally different. Sabaton is just a metal band who sings about war. Ugh, I hate you. Get out of my room. You're so stupid, Mom. Bring me some Cheez-Its. Don't ever call Sabaton war metal again, Mom. This is Abstinence Core, yes. Looks like a promo for some medieval game. It literally is promo. Look, I'm not joking. This is literally sponsored by World of Tanks. It's literally an ad for a fucking free-to-play PC game. So that's Sabaton. And you notice that their logo here is a fucking like whatever, like the piece of shoulder armor or whatever is in the S. Horrible band, horrible logo, shit tier. That's what I think. I think they're shit tier. How about your man's Danzig? I always thought Danzig had one of the coolest logos. I mean, what a fucking badass fucking logo right here, right? Like this fucking cool skull glaring at you. You know, the movie monster font. One of the coolest fucking logos of all time, right? Incredible. I love this logo. There's only one problem. If that logo was on a comic book, you'd buy it. Well, here's the problem. The logo is from a comic book. He stole it. It is from this old comic here called Crystar Crystal Warrior from 1984. You can see right here is the skull with the same shading and everything. So yeah, stolen. You'll also see the Misfits logo, also stolen. One of the best logos of all time. Also stolen here from this movie called The Crimson Ghost from way back in the 30s or 40s or whatever the fuck it was. So Glenn Danzig, great eye for stealing shit. Definitely both great logos. Unfortunately, both stolen, but pretty great. Fair to say the Danzig logo is cool. The question is their music good or bad? And I would say Danzig is pretty bad. Pretty bad. Like, Danzig has 2 songs that are pretty good. Like, Dirty Black Summer is amazing. I love that song. Mother is kind of cool. And then they have, like, song after song after song of just corny garbage. So I would say overall, I think Danzig is pretty bad. The logo is cool, but unfortunately, it's stolen. So that's what I would say. Good logo, bad music. I think that's a fair place. This one might ruffle some feathers. We're going to do it anyway. Where do we think that My Chemical Romance belongs? I think we would all agree that My Chemical Romance is a great band. I think we would all agree with that, right? Great band. Maybe you like them, maybe you don't, but I think we could all agree that this band is great, right? Great music, mid logo. I think that's fair. It's a pretty bad logo. Like, this looks like a high school local band's logo. Yeah, it looks like they found a free font, belongs in a 2003 design annual booklet. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. The logo slaps. No, here's the thing. You think that this logo is great because you like My Chemical Romance, but it's not. It's really not. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It literally does look like some freeware font. You can hardly even read it here, like how the A, N, C, and E all kind of like glom together. It's pretty bad. It's a font. Well, it's a bad font, whatever it is. Is it a font? Let me see. Oh God, it is a font. I never noticed that. It literally, yeah, because you can see here, the E's are the same. The logo was a goddamn font. It's bad. It looks really bad, unfortunately. So much love to the MCR boys. I think they're a fantastic band, but I think that they belong up here with the boys in Slipknot. Great music, not such great logo, I think. Now, how about let's look at my favorite band of all time, the band I love more than anything else, Megadeth. My favorite band of all time. Did you guys know that? I've praised Megadeth so many times in so many different videos. I figured you guys would get sick of it. They'd be like, we get it. You love Megadeth. This logo is fried ass. Looks like a Terminator Sega game. Here's my question. Genuinely, sincere, genuine question. How could anybody in the current year like Megadeth? I honestly don't understand it. I get if it's 1984. I get it. If it's 1984 and you don't have any better options, I get it. Megadeth was probably cool in 1984. That was 40 years ago. Like, how could you possibly like this? They're so mid. Looks like it belongs on a 1980s arcade cabinet. Well, it's funny you should say that because one of the earliest memories I have about metal is going to an arcade in probably 1986 or something like that. And I saw one of these like angry stoner kids wearing a Megadeth shirt to the arcade back then. He was like back when they all looked like this. This is what Megadeth fans looked like back in the day. Intellectual giants. That's how they look now too. It's true. Anyway, that aside, the music, Megadeth has one amazing song, which is Holy Wars. And they have a couple other songs that are pretty damn good, like Peace Sells and Symphony of Destruction are pretty good. And then just album after album after album of fucking just complete butt. Just complete butt. Yeah, they got riffs, but no vocals. The vocals are terrible. My favorite thing about Megadeth is that they spelled it without the A. It reminds me of like an SNL joke, like the name Megadeth with no A. Reminds me of like an SNL joke, like something from like Lonely Island or Beavis and Butthead or something like that. It's amazing. They're the android of the big four. They really are. They really are. Megadeth is the android of metal. And I'm sorry, listen, I bet if you were to do a survey, let's do a poll right now. Let's just do this right now, huh? Let's do this. Attention, Megadeth fans. Do you have Android or iPhone? Let's see. We'll find out. We'll have an answer to this. We'll have an answer. So the question is, where does Megadeth belong? Well, I think we all know the answer to this. It's not the worst logo in the world. It's okay, but it's not great. Music's not great either, so I think they go in the bottom left. That's what I think. I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry. But we do have time for one more. Let's see. How about we'll do some justice for your man, Mr. Danzig. Here's what I want to do. I was going to say if I ever meet Glenn Danzig. I actually did meet him once, kind of. I went to the Misfits reunion show, and I got guest list, so I was backstage. He was running around backstage, like, surrounded by security guards. He had, like, 4 security guards, like, around him, protecting him. And he's so short that, like, I couldn't see his head above the security guard's shoulders. I'm not even making this up. It just looked like 4 dudes, like, running around in a circle. And then I realized that Glenn Danzig was in the center of this group of dudes. I was going to say, if I ever meet him, I would like to call him Mr. Danzig. And then I realized that he would probably love that. He would probably be thrilled if you were like, oh, Mr. Danzig, I'm a huge fan. I've been wanting to meet you for years. Could I have your autograph? He'd probably just nod and be like, sure, son, no problem. He'd call you son, even if you're, 42 years old. I think he would be thrilled if you called him Mr. Danzig. Like, it's about time. It's about time somebody gave me the respect I always deserved. The Misfits is an interesting one because, to me, Danzig era Misfits is the only real Misfits, which was only a band for like 4 years, I think, 5 years. Danzig era Misfits really didn't exist for very long. And then they got back together with, all the various different scab lineups with Jerry and fucking Michael Graves and, all the different versions of Misfits after that were terrible, just terrible. It says a lot about how amazing and great like the actual Misfits lineup with Danzig is, that it doesn't really tarnish their reputation at all because their good shit is so good that everyone just ignores all their terrible music. They're like, oh, well, that doesn't count. Who cares? Right? I mean, the early Misfits stuff with Danzig is absolutely fucking god tier. Like, that is some of the best punk songwriting of all time. Like, the production is just absolute fucking trash. They can barely play their instruments, and that only makes it better, because the songs are just so goddamn good. And their aesthetics, obviously, incredible too. Like, Danzig Misfits is not just good for punk music. Danzig era Misfits is like some of the best like rock music ever recorded in any subgenre. I will put them up there with like Guns N' Roses and the Beatles and like the best of the best of the best. That's how good I think Misfits are. So good that the awful like scab versions of it, like to me, they don't even exist. Also one of the best logos of all time, even though it's stolen. So I'm going to put it up here. Great music, great logo. That's what I think. Saying that someone can write punk well is like saying someone is good at finger painting. Well, why don't you go write a Misfits song and you let me know how easy it is to write a song like Last Caress or Where Eagles Dare. Go try it. Tell me how easy it is. because that is some incredible fucking songwriting. So there it is, people. A deep dive into the world of great logos and some not so great logos. Join us next time for another look at the best and worst band logos of all time. Sabaton is not a war metal band. They're just a metal band that sings about war.